Silence. Then, a single thought breaks through. What if your greatest obstacle isn't the world, but your own mind? Welcome to Train Your Mind for Success. The mind is everything. This is more than a motivational audiobook. It's a mental transformation experience, a deep journey into how your thinking shapes every result, every habit, every decision you make. Because before success becomes your lifestyle, it must first become your mindset. Think about this. Every limitation that has ever held you back didn't begin in your body, it began in your thoughts. The invisible conversations inside your head, the ones no one hears, are the ones deciding what kind of life you live. You can train your body for strength. You can train your craft for mastery. But if you never train your mind for clarity, consistency, and control, you'll keep running in circles, chasing the same results, fighting the same internal battles, waiting for motivation that never lasts. So today, this moment, right here, it's not just another listen, it's a shift. It's you taking full control of the most powerful force you'll ever possess, your mind. And before we dive in, take a second, breathe in, think about the life you want, then ask yourself, have my thoughts been leading me there? Because after this, you'll never think the same way again. Chapter 1. The Battlefield of the Mind. Your mind is a battlefield. Every day, thousands of thoughts are fighting for your attention. Doubt, fear, purpose, distraction, faith, fatigue. Only one side wins, the one you feed. Most people lose before they even start. Not because they lack strength or talent, but because they wake up every morning and let their mind run without direction. They let negativity set the tone. They let fear become their language. They let distraction steal their focus. And then they wonder why success feels so far away. The truth is, if you don't command your thoughts, they will command you. If you don't choose what your mind focuses on, it will choose for you. And it will always choose comfort over growth. You can't change your life if you don't first change your mental conditioning. The world will throw pressure, chaos, opinions, noise. But what determines your response isn't the event. It's your internal dialogue. When you say, I can't, your body listens. When you say, I'm not ready, your potential shuts down. But when you say, I will figure this out, your brain starts to look for solutions. That's how powerful your thoughts are. Your brain believes what you repeatedly tell it. So here's your first task. Become aware of your self-talk. Notice how you speak to yourself when you fail. Notice the language you use when you feel pressure. Are you building strength or building excuses? Most people don't even realize that they are training their minds every day, either by feeding fear or by feeding focus. The difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck is simple: mental discipline. Success doesn't start with motivation. It starts with mastery over thought. Because motivation fades, but mindset can carry you through storms. Chapter 2. Reprogram the voice in your head. Let's go deeper. The voice in your head, that constant stream of thought, it's either your greatest ally or your biggest enemy. It can talk you out of opportunity. It can make you hesitate when life calls you to act. It can convince you that failure is final, when in truth, it's just feedback. But you can't silence that voice. You can only train it. You can reprogram it to speak with strength. The problem is most people never question what their mind tells them. They hear, I'm not enough, and they believe it. They hear, it's too late, and they accept it. But here's the truth. Your thoughts are not commands. They're suggestions. You decide which ones to obey. Every time you repeat a thought, you reinforce it. So if you say, I can't, enough times, your brain wires itself to agree. But if you replace it, I'm capable, I'm growing, I'll figure it out, then your brain starts building new pathways, new beliefs, new momentum. This is neuroscience and discipline combined. What you think repeatedly becomes what you expect, and what you expect becomes how you behave. Training your mind isn't about pretending that life is easy. It's about preparing yourself to face reality with strength, not fear. Ask yourself this: what would happen if I stopped arguing for my limitations and started speaking for my potential? Most people defend their weaknesses more than they defend their dreams. They say things like, that's just how I am. But that's not truth. That's conditioning. And conditioning can be changed. Your new mission: challenge your thoughts. When doubt shows up, don't let it lead. Interrogate it. Ask, is this thought helping me grow? Is it based on fear or fact? Is it pulling me forward or holding me down? If the answer isn't growth, let it go. Don't feed it. Don't argue with it. Replace it. Because if you want to live at a higher level, your thoughts have to rise first. You cannot outwork a weak mind. You must train it daily, just like a muscle. Consistency builds strength. Wake up with intention. Feed your mind powerful input. Books, podcasts, silence, reflection. Clean out the noise, the gossip, the negativity. Protect your mental space like your success depends on it, because it does. You can't win in life with an untrained mind, and you don't need perfection. You just need awareness and repetition. Every time you replace weakness with clarity, you win. Every time you choose strength over comfort, you grow. Remember this: the goal isn't to think positive. The goal is to think powerfully. Positivity says it'll all be fine. Power says, whatever happens, I'll handle it. That's how warriors of the mind are built, one strong thought at a time. Chapter 3. The Habit of Mental Discipline. Every successful person you've ever admired shares one secret: mental discipline. They've learned to train their thoughts the same way an athlete trains their body, through repetition, resistance, and routine. Because your mind, left untrained, will always choose the path of least resistance. It will cling to comfort, avoid discomfort, and seek instant gratification. That's how potential quietly dies, not through failure, but through distraction. Mental discipline begins with awareness. You must learn to recognize when your mind tries to escape effort. When you start something important, that's when your excuses arrive, whispering that it's not the right time, that you're too tired, that it won't work. That's your mind testing your will. And if you don't push back, it wins. Discipline isn't glamorous. It's built in quiet, uncomfortable moments, when you do the thing you said you'd do long after the feeling that made you say, it is gone. Every time you show up despite resistance, you're not just completing a task. You're reshaping your identity. You're teaching your mind that commitment is stronger than mood. That's how discipline becomes freedom. Because when your mind is trained, you no longer need to negotiate with it. You decide and you act. You stop chasing motivation and start building momentum. Ask yourself, What would my life look like if I treated my thoughts like a workout plan? If every day I practiced focus, clarity, resilience, instead of waiting for them to appear, you'd become unstoppable. The mind, like muscle, doesn't grow in ease. It grows in resistance. And every time you push through mental friction, you're reinforcing the truth that you are stronger than your excuses. Remember, discipline is remembering what you want, even when your mind forgets. Chapter 4. The Power of Belief. Every transformation begins with one invisible shift: belief. Because the mind can only build what it believes is possible. Before you take a single step toward success, your beliefs are already shaping the outcome. If you believe you can't, you'll never start. If you believe it's impossible, you won't even try. But if you believe it's within reach, your mind becomes your ally, not your enemy. Belief isn't pretending, it's programming. It's setting the coordinates before you begin the journey. Every invention, every success, every comeback in history started with someone who believed before they had proof. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times before creating the light bulb. Did he have proof it would work? No. He had belief, a mental image that wouldn't die. Your mind follows your focus. So if you keep feeding it visions of failure, it will protect you from trying. But if you feed it images of success, it will start seeking paths to make them real. The difference between the person who gives up and the person who rises again isn't intelligence. It's the belief that effort still matters. You have to see it in your mind before you can hold it in your hands. Because your brain doesn't distinguish between imagination and reality. When you vividly visualize something, your nervous system begins preparing for it. Your focus sharpens. Your motivation rises. That's the psychology of belief. It trains your brain to expect success, not fear it. The world will try to talk you out of your dreams. That's fine, because their doubts don't define your destiny. Your beliefs do. Remember, the mind doesn't create what's true. It creates what you believe. Chapter 5. Rewiring Failure. Here's a truth most people never learn. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's the training ground for it. Your brain learns through trial and error. Every time you fail, your mind gathers data. It adjusts. It adapts. It sharpens. But most people quit too early. They interpret failure as a signal to stop, not as feedback to evolve. When you train your mind for success, failure becomes neutral. It's no longer emotional. It's informational. The difference between winners and worriers is how they process setbacks. Worriers replay the pain. Winners replay the lesson. You can rewire failure by changing one question. Instead of asking, "Why me?" ask, "What now?" Every disappointment becomes direction. Every setback becomes a signal. Your mind learns that failure isn't final. It's refinement. When you start treating every obstacle as part of your training, you stop fearing loss and start building strength. And remember this, your brain's job is to keep you safe, not successful. It will avoid discomfort, risk, and uncertainty, the very things success requires. That's why you have to train it to feel safe in discomfort, because only then will growth feel natural. Failure isn't a sign of weakness. It's evidence you're stretching your limits. And that's exactly what a trained mind is built to do. Remember, failure doesn't stop the strong. It shapes them. Chapter 6. Focus. The weapon of champions. Focus is the oxygen of success. Without it, your potential suffocates. Your mind is constantly pulled in 1,000 directions, notifications, opinions, comparison. And every time you give in, you lose a little bit of your power. Focus isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters with intensity. It's learning to control attention like a laser. Because what you focus on expands. The untrained mind drifts. The trained mind directs. Ask yourself, where has my focus been lately? On problems or possibilities? On distractions or discipline? Whatever you feed grows. You can't expect success while giving your attention to everything that dilutes it. If you want to rise, your focus must become ruthless. You must learn to say no, not because you're arrogant, but because your goals deserve it. Every great athlete, entrepreneur, and thinker operates from a trained focus. They protect their time like treasure. They build boundaries not to isolate, but to elevate. And the more you train focus, the easier it becomes to enter flow. That mental state where effort disappears and excellence takes over. That's where your best ideas come from. That's where your peak performance lives, and it begins the moment you decide your attention belongs to you again. Remember, your focus is your fortune. Spend it wisely. You've learned how discipline, belief, and focus shape your mind into a weapon of success. But there's a deeper level of mastery waiting. The ability to transform emotion into energy, doubt into direction, and chaos into calm. Because a strong mind doesn't just think clearly, it feels deeply and still stays in control. That's where we go next. Chapter 7, Emotional Mastery, How to Stay Calm. When the world isn't, emotions are energy. They're not your enemy, they're your compass. But if you don't know how to read them, they'll lead you in circles. Most people are controlled by how they feel in the moment. They wake up inspired and everything seems possible. They wake up tired and suddenly the same goals feel impossible. But emotions were never meant to be your driver. They're meant to be your data. Training your mind for success means learning to observe your emotions without obeying them. Anger, it means your boundaries were crossed. Fear, it means growth is near. Frustration, it means your standards are rising. Every emotion carries a message, but if you let it take control, the lesson gets lost. When you feel anger rising, pause. When fear whispers, don't try, listen, but don't obey. You are not your emotions. You are the awareness behind them. That's emotional mastery. To feel everything but act on wisdom, not impulse. It doesn't mean you suppress feelings. It means you process them consciously. Breathe through them. Ask, what is this trying to teach me? Then respond with intention. A calm mind isn't a silent mind. It's a trained mind, one that refuses to let temporary feelings destroy permanent goals. You'll notice this pattern. The people who make the most progress are rarely the ones who feel amazing every day. They're the ones who act with consistency despite how they feel. Because emotion is temporary. Discipline is permanent. Remember, the goal isn't to control how you feel. It's to control what you do, despite how you feel. Chapter 8, The Power of Visualization. The mind can't distinguish vividly imagined experience from reality. That's why visualization is one of the most powerful mental tools ever discovered. When you visualize success, not just see it, but feel it, your brain begins wiring itself for that outcome. It prepares your body to act as if it's already possible. The greatest athletes and performers in the world use this daily. Before they step onto the field, the stage, or the court, They see every move. They imagine the sights, the sounds, the sensations, until their subconscious believes it's already done. You can do the same. Each morning, before checking your phone or reacting to the world, close your eyes for 60 seconds. Picture yourself succeeding. See it clearly. Hear the applause, the peace, the confidence. Feel the energy of accomplishment. That's not fantasy, that's training. Visualization turns your mind into a GPS for goals. It aligns your focus, sharpens your decisions, and builds emotional certainty. Because when your mind believes something is possible, it stops sabotaging your effort. It stops questioning every move. It starts expecting success, and expectation shapes execution. But here's the secret. Visualization works only when paired with action. You can't just dream it. You must do it. You must move in alignment with the vision you see. If you visualize abundance but act out of scarcity, the mind gets confused. But if your action matches your vision, your brain begins to reinforce it. So, train daily. See it. Feel it. Do it. Remember, the mind rehearses what the body will one day perform. Chapter 9. The Mindset of Resilience. Life will test you, not once, but constantly. It will challenge your focus, your patience, your belief. And that's not a punishment. That's preparation. Every setback your mind survives makes it stronger. Every failure you rise from increases your resilience. Resilience is not a gift. It's a choice. It's built every time you decide that difficulty won't define you. Think about this. When you go to the gym, resistance builds strength. The same applies to your mind. Stress, challenge, rejection. They're all weights for your mental muscles. You don't grow by avoiding them. You grow by facing them until they stop scaring you. Resilient people don't have easier lives. They have stronger perspectives. They know that pain is temporary, but quitting is permanent. When life hits hard, remember, your mind has two voices. One says, "This is too much." The other whispers, "We've survived worse." Choose which one you feed. Resilience isn't about ignoring pain. It's about trusting that growth is happening even when you can't see it yet. Because every storm ends. And when it does, the one who stayed standing isn't the luckiest. It's the one who refused to surrender their mindset. Remember, resilience isn't avoiding storms. It's learning to dance in the rain. Chapter 10. Reprogramming. Self-doubt. Let's talk about your inner critic, the voice that questions everything you do. It says, "Who are you to try that?" It says, "What if you fail?" It says, "You're not ready." You know that voice. It shows up right before you take a step forward. But here's what most people don't realize. That voice isn't truth. It's protection. It's your mind trying to keep you safe from risk, embarrassment, or disappointment. But safety and success rarely live in the same room. If you want to grow, you must reprogram that voice. You must train your brain to recognize fear as a signal, not a stop sign. When the voice says, "What if you fail?" answer it. "Then I'll learn." When it says, "You're not ready," say, "That's why I'm doing it, to get ready." When it says, "You're not enough," say, "I'm evolving." Every time you challenge that voice, you weaken its control. Because courage doesn't silence fear, it speaks louder. Here's the truth. Confidence isn't the absence of doubt. It's the mastery of it. It's knowing the voice will appear and choosing to move anyway. So from now on, treat self-doubt as training. Every time it shows up, it's your cue to prove it wrong. The more you act, the quieter it becomes. because your mind starts to understand you're in control now. Remember, doubt kills dreams faster than failure ever could, unless you train your mind to answer back. You've now reached a turning point. You've learned the mechanics of thought, focus, emotion, and resilience. But the final level of training is something deeper, the creation of mental peace and purpose. Because the mind isn't just meant to think, it's meant to serve. It's meant to align your energy with your mission. That's where we go next. The final transformation. The part where your thoughts stop reacting and start leading. Chapter 11. The Calm Within Chaos. Mastering the Peaceful Mind. There's a kind of strength that doesn't roar. It doesn't need to announce itself, compete, or prove. It simply exists. It's called peace. And when your mind learns to create it, no storm can shake you again. The world around you will always be chaotic. There will always be noise, distraction, pressure, uncertainty. But the greatest achievers, the most centered leaders, the most fulfilled human beings, they've all mastered one truth. You can't always control your circumstances, but you can always control your state. When chaos rises, they don't react. They breathe. When insults come, they don't absorb. They observe. When plans fail, they don't panic. They pivot. Peace isn't a place you find. It's a power you build. It's the quiet confidence that no matter what happens, you will adapt. You will learn. You will continue. The mind trained for peace doesn't chase calm. It creates it through focus, through perspective, through choice. Because peace is not the absence of problems. It's the presence of clarity. When you can think clearly under pressure, you multiply your power tenfold. Decisions improve. Energy flows. Creativity awakens. The mind, once chaotic, becomes your sanctuary. And from that inner calm, everything you touch changes. Remember, peace isn't found, it's forged. Chapter 12. The Science of Gratitude. The fastest way to rewire your brain for success is gratitude. Not as a cliche, not as a morning routine, but as a neural rewiring process. Every time you focus on gratitude, truly focus, your brain releases dopamine and serotonin, the same chemicals responsible for happiness and motivation. You're literally training your mind to notice abundance instead of lack. Most people condition their brains for anxiety. They wake up scanning for what's missing, what's wrong, what might go wrong, and the brain, loyal as it is, finds it. But when you wake up and scan for what's right, your mind shifts. You start seeing solutions instead of problems. You start attracting energy instead of stress. You stop surviving and start thriving. Gratitude doesn't make you passive. It makes you powerful because it anchors your focus in abundance, not fear. The trained mind practices gratitude like it practices fitness, daily. Gratitude is the warm-up for success. It primes your perspective. It softens your ego. It expands your capacity to receive. Each night, list 3 things that went well. Not perfect, just better. Watch how your brain begins to crave that feeling of appreciation instead of adrenaline. It's impossible to be negative and grateful at the same time. One emotion cancels the other. And that means every time you choose gratitude, you're actively deprogramming negativity. That's not motivation. That's neuroscience. Remember, gratitude isn't what you do when life is good. It's what makes life good. Chapter 13. Training for Consistency. The mind loves intensity, but success belongs to consistency. Anyone can be motivated for a day. Anyone can push hard for a week. But the ones who win long term are those who turn discipline into a lifestyle. Training your mind for success means building systems stronger than moods. It's what separates those who start from those who finish. Consistency is not about perfection. It's about persistence. You'll fall, you'll fail, you'll forget, but you return every time because consistency is identity-based. You don't do it because you feel like it. You do it because that's who you are now. The untrained mind says, I'll do it when I feel ready. The trained mind says, I'll do it until I'm ready. That's the mindset of mastery. It turns action into habit and habit into excellence. Success is rarely built in big moments. It's built in small, repeated acts. When no one's watching, when no one's clapping. When you master consistency, you no longer chase results. You attract them because your effort becomes inevitable. Remember, intensity gets attention. Consistency gets results. Chapter 14. The Power of Perspective. Your perspective determines your possibilities. Two people can experience the same situation and walk away with completely different realities. It's not the event that shapes you, it's your interpretation. When something goes wrong, most minds default to frustration. A trained mind defaults to learning. It asks, what can I use from this? Instead of, why is this happening to me? That question changes everything because perspective is the filter through which you experience the world. And when you train it, you stop being the victim of circumstance and start becoming the architect of meaning. A flat tire can ruin your day, or it can remind you to slow down. A failure can break you, or it can build you. It's not what happens, it's what you decide it means. That's mental freedom. When you change your perspective, you change your power. Because you stop reacting and start responding. And response is where control lives. Remember, the event is neutral. Your meaning makes it powerful. Chapter 15. The Mental Environment. Your mind is a garden, and every thought is a seed. Some seeds grow flowers, gratitude, vision, strength. Others grow weeds, fear, comparison, doubt. Whatever you water grows. That's why your environment matters, not just the people you're around, but the content you consume, the words you repeat, the habits you reinforce. Every input is shaping your inner world. You can't expect success while surrounding yourself with scarcity. You can't develop confidence while feeding your mind insecurity. So protect your environment like your future depends on it. Because it does. Unfollow negativity. Unsubscribe from drama. Spend time with thinkers who stretch you, not drain you. If you hang around 5 complainers, you'll become the 6th. If you hang around 5 builders, you'll build 2. Your energy mirrors your environment, and the mind always adapts to what it's exposed to most. So, if you want to change your life, don't just change your thoughts. Change your surroundings, because your future isn't built in isolation. It's built by the energy you keep. Remember, you can't plant greatness in toxic soil. You've learned how peace, gratitude, perspective, and consistency strengthen the mind. But the ultimate form of training is not control. It's creation. It's learning to use your thoughts not just to survive or succeed, but to shape the reality you live in. Chapter 16. Thought into Reality. The Creator's Mindset. Every invention, every masterpiece, every breakthrough humanity has ever known started as a single thought, a whisper in the mind of someone who dared to believe. That's how powerful you are. Every result you see in your life right now, your health, your relationships, your success, began as thought patterns repeated long enough to become habits, then outcomes. Your mind is not just a processor, it's a creator. It doesn't just interpret reality, it constructs it. But here's the catch. Most people create unconsciously. They spend their mental energy imagining worst-case scenarios, replaying old pain, fearing outcomes that don't exist. And the mind, ever faithful, builds evidence to match those beliefs. You become what you continually expect. So if you want to live differently, think differently, deliberately. Feed your imagination what you want to see, not what you fear will happen. Think in terms of possibility, not probability. The creator's mindset begins when you understand this law. Your dominant thoughts become your default reality. That's not magic. That's focus. When you continually direct your attention towards something, you heighten awareness of opportunities related to it. You start noticing resources, connections, and solutions you were blind to before. That's the reticular activating system, your brain's filter, responding to the story you tell it. So tell a better story. Don't just dream about the future you want. Describe it in vivid detail. Write it down. Say it aloud. Visualize it until it becomes familiar. The mind follows familiarity, so make success feel like home. And then act like it's already true, not from delusion, but from decision. When your actions and mindset align, the world begins to rearrange around your belief. Remember, what you focus on, you form. Chapter 17. The Mindset of Growth. Growth doesn't happen when life is easy. It happens when life stretches you beyond what feels comfortable. That's why a trained mind doesn't resist difficulty. It seeks it. It knows pressure creates power. Every challenge is a mirror. It reflects where your limits live and offers you a chance to expand them. The untrained mind says, "This is too hard." The trained mind says, "This is how I grow stronger." Growth is never supposed to feel comfortable. If it does, you're not growing. You're repeating. And repetition without evolution is stagnation. The growth mindset is built on one belief: I can learn. Not, I'm the best. Not, I never fail. Just, I can learn. Because that belief removes fear from failure and turns every setback into feedback. It means you no longer measure progress by perfection, but by persistence. You no longer compare yourself to others, but to who you were yesterday. And that small daily shift from judgment to growth changes everything. The growth mindset is humility and hunger combined. It's the ability to say, I'm proud of how far I've come, but I'm not done yet. And when you think like that, you can't lose. You either win or you learn. Remember, the goal isn't to be perfect. It's to be better than before. Chapter 18. Energy, Vibration, and the Mental State. Your thoughts are energy. Your emotions, frequency. Together, they create your vibration, the invisible field that attracts experiences aligned with your state of mind. This isn't mysticism. It's modern physics and psychology intertwined. Your mental state influences your behavior, your body language, your tone, everything others perceive. When your energy is chaotic, you repel peace. When your energy is centered, you draw stability. That's why training your mind for success means mastering your energy first. Start by noticing what drains you, what conversations leave you heavy, What environments feel suffocating? What habits dull your spark? Then remove them, not out of judgment, but protection. Next, intentionally raise your vibration through movement, gratitude, reflection, and service. High energy doesn't mean loudness. It means alignment. It's the calm certainty of knowing you're walking in purpose. When your energy rises, opportunities start aligning, not because the world changes, but because you do. Remember, energy doesn't lie. It leads. Chapter 19, Training the Subconscious Mind. If your conscious mind is the driver, your subconscious is the engine. It powers your behavior, your habits, your identity, and here's the truth. It doesn't care what you tell it. It believes what you repeat. The subconscious doesn't understand sarcasm or logic. It only understands repetition and emotion. That means every word you say to yourself, every image you dwell on, every thought you replay, is programming it. You can't outthink a subconscious belief. You have to retrain it. How? Through repetition and emotion combined, visualization, affirmations, small wins that build evidence of progress. Because the subconscious mind updates itself based on what you feel to be true. So when you act in alignment with your goals long enough, your subconscious starts saying, "This is who we are now." And when that happens, momentum becomes effortless. You stop forcing habits and start flowing with them. You stop fighting fear and start outgrowing it. That's subconscious reprogramming. Not magic, but mechanics. Every time you choose courage over comfort, you rewrite the code. Every time you choose persistence over procrastination, you prove to your subconscious that you're serious. And eventually, it believes you. That's when transformation stops being effort and starts being identity. Remember, you don't rise to your goals. You fall to your training. The mind you master today will create the life you live tomorrow. So train it with intention, feed it with purpose, direct it with clarity, and watch as the external world begins to mirror your internal excellence. If this audiobook spoke to you, if even one sentence woke something inside you, don't let it fade. Write in the comments, "I am training my mind daily," not for anyone else, but for yourself, as a declaration of commitment. Hit like as a promise to your future self. Share this audiobook with someone who needs to remember how powerful they truly are. And subscribe to continue your journey of self-mastery and mental transformation. Because this is just the beginning. What topic should we explore next? Comment below. Your idea might become our next audiobook. Disclaimer: this audiobook is for motivational and educational purposes only. It is not psychological or medical advice. It is designed to inspire mental growth, awareness, and personal development through reflection and discipline. Train your mind, and success becomes your nature.